All right. I call this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. For anyone who is watching this meeting and would like to provide public comments, you must email publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us to register to speak. Be sure to identify which items you would like to speak on. At tonight's meeting and going forward, we'll start accepting live comments by Zoom or phone call. Excited for that change. Please email publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us for more information on how to comment. Could the clerk please call roll?
Commissioner Ledoux,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Vice Chair Madrid,
Here.
and Chair Diedrich.
Here. Commissioner Ledoux, could I have you lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I got thinking, I had never thought of this, that across the nation, or at least in this time zone, how many city councilmen and planning commissioners just stood within this and did the same thing we did.
This is the
That's
same
kind of
time.
cool.
The moment. We all shared a moment together.
There you go. There you go.
Moving on to item 4, no presentations tonight, correct? Are there any modifications to the agenda?
No modifications.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
The agenda was approved.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, public comments. For those watching this meeting, to provide public comments, you must email publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us to register to speak. Be sure to identify which items you would like to speak on. At tonight's meeting and going forward, we will be accepting live comments by Zoom or phone call. In order to do so, please email publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us for more information on how to comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak tonight?
I don't have any public comments.
Thank you. Moving on then to item number 7, approval of minutes. Can I please get an approval of the February 24th, 2021 minutes?
The minutes were approved.
Thank you. Item number 8, consent calendar, none tonight, correct? Item number 9, public hearing items. First up, we have item number 9.1, Menifee Montessori, conditional use number PLN 20-0223 and plot plan number PLN 20-0224. Director Kitsero, can you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Chair. Members of the Planning Commission, we do have a staff report presentation for you. Associate Planner Russell Brown will be providing that this evening.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. As previously mentioned, the project before you is for a conditional use permit, number PLN 20-0223 and plot plan number 20-0224, Menifee Montessori. So the project site is located approximately 1 mile west of Interstate 215 on Newport Road. The project has frontage on Winterhawk Road. Primary access is taken from Newport Road, and a secondary access point may be taken from Rim Creek Path to the south of the subject site, as shown on the bottom of the screen. The photo on the right is an aerial of the existing materials storage yard on the northern half of the property and single-family residence on the southern half of the property. The existing general plan designation and zoning classification for the project site is Economic Development Corridor, the Newport Road subarea, or EDC-NR. The surrounding properties to the north, west, and south have the same designation as the subject site, while properties along the eastern side of Winterhawk fall within the Cal-Neva specific plan. So the plot plan is required for the new child care center and full site improvements. The applicant is proposing a 13,649 square foot building. It's over 17,000 square feet of landscaped area. The conditional use permit is required for the daycare center and educational institution. The applicant is proposing 208 students with 24 to 26 staff members. School hours are Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I believe the actual time of the school may begin at 7:30. I'll have the applicant explain further on that. And the project is subject to the California Department of Social Services rules and regulations as well. So the front half of the, or eastern side of the site will consist primarily of the parking lot and associated landscaped area, while the proposed building and outdoor play area will be located on the rear half or western side of the lot. Based on the number of employees and students at maximum capacity, a total of 55 parking spaces are required, while the applicant is providing 56. The site does have dual access driveway with driveway on the northern side of the site, kind of loops around as a horseshoe type design to the southern side area of the site. And it is an existing 1.6 acre improved or disturbed site. So the landscape plan. So the project site will include over 17,000 square feet of proposed landscape area. This equates to approximately 25% of the project area, which exceeds the 10% required by the city municipal code. A variety of on-site planters and planting fingers will be used throughout the parking area to allow for shade trees and to soften the visual appearance. All on-site landscaping, trees and shrubs were carefully chosen by the applicant in an attempt to avoid choking hazards such as non-bearing fruit and nuts, and poisonous plants were not chosen, as most of the children are under 5-6 years of age. In addition, there is a perimeter 6-foot high split face block CMU wall with decorative cap along the northern, western, and southern property line from mid-lot point back. The rear portion of the site is fenced in by wrought iron gates coming off the wings of the building, so the back area or playground area will be enclosed to create a safe environment for the students and teachers. So the architecture. So the project was reviewed against the citywide design guidelines that were adopted in April 2020. The proposed building consists of modern architectural elements, such as but not limited to standing seam metal roof features, colored fiber cement siding, wooden accent horizontal siding, and a smooth exterior plaster finish. The roof lines are broken up to reduce the overall mass of the building, and through the use of standing seam metal awnings. Deep roof overhangs are provided that create shadowing and depth facades, deep facades, while providing shade for the students. So public comment. The city did receive 2 written correspondence. The first was an email received on March 16th. It was from the owners of the Tommy's Car Wash site, and they were in support of the project. The second was a letter that was postmarked to the city on March 22nd. They were in support of the project, but they also were concerned over noise issues and with the parking along Winterhawk Road. So the environmental review, the site is exempt from CEQA under the infill development, section 15332, and no further action is required of the city. And finally, the recommendation of city staff is to conduct the public hearing and adopt a resolution approving the CUP and plot plan, subject to the conditions of approval and findings in the staff report and the resolution. And I'm available if you have any other further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for staff?
I didn't hear you mention, and maybe it was, you didn't get into the detail, but there was the email about raising the wall to 8 foot. Has the staff considered that, or I don't know if this was, well, this was research, this was just received today, okay. So we should probably talk about that.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I have one question. Was there an acoustical report then in regards to the noise?
One was not prepared for the project, no.
I'm just asking because that would tell us. So, okay, thank you.
All right, no more questions for staff. At this time, we'll open the public hearing at 6:14 p.m. Madam Clerk, was this hearing legally noticed?
The public hearing was legally noticed.
And have we received any additional correspondence that we haven't already discussed?
No additional correspondence.
And the correspondence will be included in the file going forward, right?
Correct. The correspondence that was provided to the commission will be provided.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item?
No other public comments.
Thank you. Is the applicant online and would they like to speak?
My name is Douglas Ely. I'm the architect with DSEA. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. I will give a brief description of the project, but first I'd like to introduce Abhishek Singh, who is the owner of the property. And Abby, would you like to say a few words about why you chose Menifee?
Yes. Hello, guys. My name is Abhishek Singh, and about a couple of years ago, I and my wife decided that we both worked in the corporate world for about 15 years, and we came to a point where we were like, we want to open a business, a childcare business, and we happened to be passing through Menifee about 2 years ago, and I was literally blown away by the city, how well developed it was, and how posh looking it was, and how much different and upcoming it was, the booming housing market and all of that. And we decided that this is where we want to be. We have always had a goal of starting a childcare because we believe that early childhood education is something that's most beneficial, and it provides a solid groundwork for further advancement and success. And I have 2 kids. They both go to Montessori schools, and because of that, I've always had a strong belief in the Montessori school way of learning. So this is why we chose to start a Montessori, and what better city than Menifee. I hold a master's in engineering, and so does my wife. So we know and we value the quality of education starting from the childhood. So this is why we thought that this is a business that will suit us and enable us to fulfill our dreams. And in a city like Menifee, which as I did more market research, was fast growing, and it looked like there was a need for a childcare, a large scale childcare like this. So we thought that, let's go for it. And we started looking at the sites, different locations, and we happened to find this one, which just suited, the correct size, the location, and everything. And that's how we came to pursue this.
Thank you, Abby. This is Douglas Ely again. I also want to thank Russell Brown, the planning staff, and the city departments for getting us to this point. We, DSEA architects, we have had the opportunity to design numerous child care centers. This one is one of the largest ones that we've done, and 55 parking spaces is the most we've ever provided on a site. And I think that there is ample parking, more than ample parking from my experience to handle the needs on this particular site. The design is imagery that is pertaining to the discovery of nature. We want children to be very inquisitive and always exploring when they come into the facility. So the collage of colors that you see on the exterior is an homage to fall leaves, and the structural trusses you see holding up the roof are wood trusses, which kind of a play on branches of trees. The roof is going to have a blue-gray color. So there's all these nods back to nature, and we wanted it to be playful and have a sense of home for children. As far as the site is concerned, I hear of the comment that came up regarding the noise in the playground. Normally we do an acoustical report when the playground is adjacent to residential areas. The residential area adjacent to this site to the south is over 200 feet away. And therefore we did not provide that report. The comment about the wall not being high enough, we normally put 6-foot-high masonry walls around our playgrounds, and it is amazing what that does to help deflect noise. In fact, you can be on the other side of a masonry wall and not even realize there's a playground on the other side. When you get a little further away, you might hear a little bit of chirping of the sound of children. But where the residential property is, that's 200 feet away, and I don't think an extra 2 feet in that wall will do much. But I'll respond to your comments and any other questions that you have.
I do have a question.
Please,
Douglas,
go
thank you for joining us. Do you have an estimate of the time of day that the children would be outside playing?
Yes. The school will start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it won't be until 8 that the smaller children under 2 years of age will be outside playing for about an hour or so. The older kids, 2 years plus, will have a playtime from around 11 o'clock to noon and further in the evening after 3 o'clock. So yeah, those will be the play times. Now, not all the children will be out at any given time playing. They will be time divided with classrooms and ages. But the earliest that anybody would be out playing would be 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, 8 o'clock, and then the next at 11.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I just want to make a comment. I don't like an 8-foot wall unless it's absolutely necessary. That's just my own personal opinion. And as far as the parking, the parallel parking at the curb, the majority of that is pretty much taken up by the car wash. That's where the employees park. So I don't see that that's going to be a problem. Plus, this is a big parking lot. This is over half the property. So I just want to make those comments. And as far as noise goes, well, we can't avoid it, but there is a buffer. There's a whole lot between. Would you say 200 feet? So that sounds about right. And that's just to the wall. And then the house is actually another probably 40 feet from that. So that's all I wanted to say.
Please, Dan.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment that I think one of the undesired effects of COVID-19 is that there are many working moms that were unable to be in the workforce because of COVID-19, not being able to have childcare, daycare. I think this is a good thing for the community, especially for those moms that do want to get back into the workforce. This will provide an opportunity local here to be able to drop off the smaller children and provide childcare and daycare services for those moms that need to go back to work, because we know how everybody was economically impacted by that. But all the reports that I have seen in the news media and what I've read indicates that women were significantly impacted, especially working moms, because of COVID-19 and not having specific daycare and childcare services available to them. So I think this is a good thing.
Thank you, Commissioner. If nothing else, I'd like to thank Mr. Singh and Mr. Ely for the presentation and for the project. Along those lines, does the applicant agree to the conditions of approval?
I do.
Chair?
Yes,
Chair,
Di?
this is the Assistant City Attorney Ty Fan. I just wanted to clarify that we have not yet closed the public hearing and that we are still in the public hearing. So before you get to commissioner comments and discussions about the conditions of approval, we should close the public hearing if there are no more speakers. This is a time to ask questions, or excuse me, this is a time for the applicant to speak or any other public comment to be made regarding this item.
Correct, yes. That was going to be my next thing that I was going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to add, before the applicant answers the question about the conditions of approval in your blue folders, and the applicant also has this language, there is red lines to the standard condition of approval for security systems. This was a standard template language that was provided in the draft document for commercial developments. Sorry, I could take this off. And so we worked with our PD department to clarify the language in it to make it more applicable to the school use itself. So when the commission is ready to act, I would remind you that this is part of that recommended action.
Thank you for that, Cheryl. Yes. Before we close the public hearing, I believe you said yes, but can we get again from the applicant? Does the applicant agree to the conditions of approval, including the red line language regarding the security cameras?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, have any public comments come in on this matter?
No public comments.
Thank you. As such, I will close the public hearing at 6:26 p.m. At this point now, fellow commissioners, do we have any comments or discussion on the project?
I have a comment. Obviously, those of us with young kids can sympathize with parents during drop-off and pickup at schools. I understand that for this school, there is no drop-off, right? The kids, the parents are asked to park and walk their child into the school and then to bring them back out, right? Well, we're pretty confident that we have enough parking spaces that the cars will not spill out onto Winterhawk during their drop-off and pickup times.
Actually, I think it said in the staff report that there was extra parking per se on the street, right, for spillover? Was that not a certain amount on Winterhawk?
No, actually, in final engineering, parking in front of the Montessori as well as the tire shop and the car wash will be prohibited.
Right.
But parking on the other side of Winterhawk on the east side will be allowed.
Right.
So they're not going to be allowed to park on the street in front of it, but they're going to be allowed to park on the street across the street.
Correct.
And what's the rationale for that?
Well, Winterhawk is actually a local road, and so because of the classification of the road, you can, there's not that much concern about the speeding, but however, we don't want to allow double parking because we still want to have a clear line of sight for vehicles coming in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to add too, so you're going to widen the street,
Correct.
which they'll go,
So-
it'll be to ultimate width, so that.
Right. So the front of
difference.
Montessori will be required to provide the full improvement.
Right.
And that would continue the improvement all the way to the north, fronting the car wash and the tire shop.
I also noticed, I know I drove the area going down Winterhawk, and I looked at as a parent, if I was going in to drop off my student and coming out, ways of getting out, and always look for 2 ways to get out. And so I saw coming in, you could come in Winterhawk and go out Winterhawk. But I also saw as you go around Rim Creek, you can go all the way to Rim Creek, drive all the way around, and I think it ends up at Bradley. So you've got 2 egress paths there at Bradley and Newport for those parents that want to go around. So I was happy that at least traffic alleviation, in the morning coming in and out, there was 2 paths to get in and out. So you can come in that way or go out that way also, so.
Yeah, plus we have 5 driveway aprons on that side of the street. You get 2, 1 at Tommy's, 2 at the car wash, the oil change, and 2 at the school.
Right.
So that'll be interesting.
Technically, we would be putting like red tags by the driveways,
Uh-huh.
but because you have so many driveways, one after the other, the whole thing would be no parking.
Yeah,
Oh,
there wouldn't be
red
any room.
tag, okay, red curb there. Okay.
What is the speed limit? 'Cause it'd have to be kind of slow in that 20 miles or so, right?
It's probably because it's a local road, the speed limit is no higher than, I would imagine, maybe 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, and the speed's gonna build up, I think, at the knuckle headed towards Newport. That's where
Right.
the speed would pretty much build. It's good, looks good.
Will it be posted a school zone?
That's my question.
Yeah.
There should be, yes. So, like I said, when we get to final engineering, our traffic engineer will evaluate the signing and striping plans, and if there's a need to, indicate that you're approaching a school zone, then that would be required to be placed.
So is the traffic engineering requirement only for public schools and like charters, or is something like a daycare, which is actually a commercial entity?
I wouldn't know that. I'm not really sure.
That's a school.
Because if the people are gonna be parking across the street and walking their kids across, it has the same safety issues as a regular school. So I think that should be put in the conditions, that it be marked as a school zone, because then you have traffic enforcement of driving through a school zone.
That's an interesting question, Commissioner, because there's no crosswalk and therefore no crossing guard. So
But if it's marked as a school zone, it's definitely driving habits are different. in that area.
it should be.
But does this go back to having enough parking spaces so no one will need to park on the other side of the street and walk their kids across?
Per the municipal code, they're required to have 55 parking spaces, and they are providing 56, so there is in excess of 1.
So,
Per-
I would
perhap-
definitely encourage this to be marked as a school zone, because in effect, in practice, that's what this is gonna be.
Yeah.
I think what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna take a look at that. And like I said, when you get the improvement plans being reviewed anyway, it has to meet not only the city standards, but also state codes for vehicular traffic. So we're gonna take a look at that, and if it's necessary to place those per code, then that's what we're gonna require the applicant to do.
Okay.
And you would also have the option to paint the curb across the street, correct, on the east
Yes.
side, so.
And keep in mind, it could be a dynamic situation if it becomes really problematic in the area because of parking on the other side, and it becomes a safety issue. The city can have the opportunity to go back there and take a look at what could be placed to make the area safe. So safety is always number one.
I'll just add
This
to it.
is-
I drive
is-
that Winterhawk a lot right there. It's not, people don't drive fast there. There's
Commission, if I may, from an operational standpoint, for the Montessori, perhaps we want to hear from the applicant in terms of their operations for drop off and pickup. I would imagine they'd have something to say about parents running across the street and the safety of the students.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is the applicant available to address that?
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I frankly do not see that there will be a need for any parent to park across the street, primarily because, as we noted, there are ample parking spots, 56 spots that we have. Secondly, this is not like a public elementary school where children have to be arriving by a certain time or at a certain time. The window is open. We encourage parents to drop off their child before 9 o'clock, but they don't really have to if they're getting late, and we don't penalize them for that. So essentially, I mean, the 200 parents that the capacity roughly is can come anytime between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. or beyond. So given that, we expect to see a widespread of times when the parents will arrive. So I don't really see a time when the traffic will be overburdened or they will be having a need for the cars to back up, a situation like that. Given secondly how deep this parking lot is, and there will always be enough spots, I believe, as parents come and drop off. And the drop off and pickup procedure is pretty quick. Takes less than, for any parent that has kids going there regularly, that process takes less than 3 minutes for a parent to drop off their child, or less, much less than that sometimes. So given that how fast the egress is, we don't really imagine a situation where parking will ever be a concern in this case, and parents will need to park across the street. I do not believe that need will arise.
Thank you, sir. I do have one question along those lines. Do you foresee, are there going to be any type of events or, similar to a school with a parent night or something like that, where you would, rather than just having staggered drop-off times, you are going to have a significant amount of the students and or their parents there at the same time that would cause an issue?
Yes, there will be events where parents of a certain classroom or a certain age group will have certain events that they may want to participate. But again, that will not be more than 55, because any age group and class number of students in a class are much fewer than that. So, and we could also always plan our events such that there won't be a need to have more than 50 parents at any time.
Great, thank you. Any other questions on this, along these lines for the applicant? No. All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments or discussion, commissioners?
good.
I just want to say that, it's always a balancing act. Our city definitely needs more childcare options. So I want to thank them for the project. Still always cognizant of the other issues and the noise and the issues, but it seems like there have been some adequate measures put into place that will minimize those. So hopefully that's true.
I would like to add one other thing, if I may, about the noise. The playground will be located on the western side of the lot, which is going to be right behind the building, the school building. And if you look from the map, there are very tall trees between that playground on the back side of the building and the residential areas. So not only will the distance be one thing, and the fact that we'll have, our playtime will start at 8 o'clock, we'll also have trees and such to hinder any view of the playground if the resident don't want to, and obviously the noise will be blocked, along with the 6 foot of wall that we'll have. So I personally feel that we'll have enough buffer. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At this point, we have 2 resolutions for adoption. Can I get a motion and a second to adopt a resolution approving plot plan number PLN 20-0224?
That motion passed 5-0.
Excellent. And now can I get a motion and a second to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number PLN 20-0223, including the red lines?
That motion also passed 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item 9.2. Encanto McCall Gas Station, Car Wash, and Quick Serve Restaurant. Conditional use permit number PLN 20-0002 and conditional use permit number PLN 20-0004 and plot plan number PLN 20-0003. Director Kitsuro, can you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Commission. This project will be presented to you this evening by Associate Planner Desiree Bowden. And I think she's all set now that we've switched seats.
Good evening, Chair, Commission. My name is Desiree Bowden. I will be presenting the Encanto Drive, McCall Boulevard project, conditional use permit PLN 20-0002, conditional use permit PLN 20-004, and plot plan PLN 20-0003, excuse me. The project site is located north of McCall Boulevard, south and west of Encanto Drive, and east of Interstate 215. The project site is currently vacant land, with vacant land to the east and north, and I-215 in northbound on-ramp to the west. On the south side of McCall Boulevard is existing commercial retail uses such as Wendy's, Motel 6, and Valero gas station. The general plan and land use designation for the project site is Economic Development Corridor, McCall Boulevard, EDC-MB. And this encourages uses such as convenience goods, services to surrounding neighborhoods and communities within the area. The mixed land use is desirable for development such as proposed uses of gas stations, convenience stores, drive-through car washes, and drive-through fast food restaurants. Plot plan number PLN 20-0003 proposes the development for a 3,200 square foot gas station convenience store, which includes a fuel canopy and 6 dual fuel pumps, a 1,140 square foot automated car wash with drive-through, and a 3,900 square foot drive-through fast food restaurant. Conditional use permit PLN 20-0002 allows for the use of a gas station and convenience store, automated drive-through car wash, and fast food restaurant. The project site, I'm sorry, give me one moment. The project site is My apologies. The project site is a 2.10 acre parcel, which will also have 2 points of access and will provide 53 parking spaces, but only was required to have 33 parking spaces. As previously stated, this site will have 2 points of access for the project site, one located at the north end of the property on Encanto Drive, and the primary access site at the southeast point, which is just before the approaching Encanto Drive and McCall Boulevard intersection. The project will provide approximately 35,604 square feet of landscape on site. The perimeter landscaping for the project will provide staggering trees and shrubs and ground cover for the enhancement of Encanto Drive. A detention basin will be located at the most northern point of the property site near the entrance, and landscape buffer will be provided on the southern corner of Encanto Drive and McCall Boulevard intersection. Similar architectural elements are proposed for the gas station, convenience store, automated car wash, and fast food. Architectural elements will include decorative lighting, exterior lighting, glazing, stucco, metal siding, treated materials, and brick veneer. Although not shown, the trash enclosures will mimic the same architectural elements as the buildings. And this is an image of the fast food restaurant, which is proposed as well, and the drive-through. The proposed canopy will have similar architectural elements on the pilasters, but will display the shell signature color variations and logo on the exterior of the canopy. As a requirement of the conditions of approval, a master sign program, including application, exhibit, and fees, will be required at the time of submittal at a later time, and will require to be consistent with the city's municipal code. Conditional Use Permit PLN 20-004 proposes a request for a Type 20 beer and wine off-site consumption license required by California Alcoholic Beverage Control. The project is located within Census Tract number 427.228. According to the California ABC Board, the Census Tract in question is allowed two Type 21 license and one Type 20 license. The Census Tract has 2 existing Type 21 licenses within the Census Tract. The addition of a third license would cause over-concentration. However, each existing license is located within different commercial centers, as shown on the map. PC findings were required to be made as part of this project. The proposed development can be categorically exempt from CEQA Section 15332 for infill development because the zoning and general plan designation are consistent for this proposed use. The project site is less than 5 acres. The site was previously disturbed and would have no threat to habitat or rare endangered species. The approval of the project would not result in any significant effect on road improvements, noise, air, or water quality, and the site can adequately be served by local utilities and services.
Wow.
In conclusion, staff recommends to the Planning Commission to conduct a public hearing and adopt the Planning Commission resolutions and approve plot plan PLN 20-0003, conditional use permit PLN 20-0002, and conditional use permit PLN 20-004, subject to the attached conditions and approval of this plot plan and the findings incorporated in the staff report. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Bowden. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
I do have a question when we talk about the census tract. and the two businesses that are located that are selling alcohol in that area. I know there's a Valero gas station that's very close in proximity to that location. That site is, or that location is not within that census tract, so it would not impact if they got their license and the new site got their license, they would be within that track. Correct?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner White. The Valero gas station is located within Census Tract 427.29 and has no bearing on this site. Although located across the street, they are in different tracks.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
No other questions? Then we will open the public hearing at 6:49 p.m. Madam Clerk, was this item legally noticed?
This item was legally noticed.
And have we received any correspondence on this item?
No correspondence received.
Thank you. Are there any public comments for this item?
No public comments either.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant Representative Casson Klein on the line? Would he like to speak?
Yes, Chair Diedrich, good evening, and planning commissioners. Let me begin. I'd like to express my appreciation to staff. As you can see, this site is pretty constrained, and over the course of our application, we held several meetings with staff to overcome some of the challenges. And I want to express my appreciation for the work and the collaborative effort that staff did. I want to particularly compliment Planner Desiree Bowden on the staff report. It's very thorough and comprehensive, and as the staff report indicates, the project meets or exceeds the development code requirements in several areas and the general plan goals. We concur with staff recommendations and the findings for approval, and the applicant developer and my colleagues on the development team are available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Casson. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant?
I do. As far as the traffic in that area, because that is so close to the 215 corridor on McCall there, the traffic in that area in the morning at times gets to be a quagmire sometimes. What plan or part of that plan is going to help alleviate that traffic that is going to build up in that area, especially the folks going northbound on the 215? Because early in the morning, that builds up with people trying to get on the 215 going northbound and southbound. The southbound light holds up traffic for those two lights that backs all the way up to in Canto. I've seen people get caught in the middle of that traffic situation, and so I'm concerned that with this being there, there's going to be more traffic, and how are you moving to either expand the roads and increase more access so that the traffic will flow more smoothly? Or maybe this is a question for our Public Works.
Commissioner White, I can give a brief summary of the improvements that are required with the project. The project will be widening in Canto at the northern section of McCall, adding in a new right turn pocket and modifying the traffic signal at the intersection of McCall and Encanto. Two left turn pockets for access into the project will be added along Encanto, and then obviously the improvements along the Encanto frontage would be required as well. In addition, the applicant has agreed to conditions of approval to contribute funding to ultimate improvements at the McCall and Encanto intersection, as well as the ultimate widening of McCall Boulevard with that interchange.
Thank you for the update. I know there were some comments on the traffic in that area from some of the residents. Thank you.
no one else has a question, I do have a question. Casson, do we know yet at this point, is there a tenant in mind for the restaurant?
There is none that I am aware of, and I've obviously spoken to the applicant developer who is on the line. So I would go ahead and extend the opportunity to either Ken Ossie or Eugene Marini to address that in case there's something new that I'm unaware of.
Hi, this is Eugene Marini. I just wanted to thank everyone again for your time. We have had preliminary talks with some tenants, but high operator corporate tenants. One of them was a burger fast food chain. Nothing is been signed yet, but we are only looking to bring in one of the best in class operators, whether it be corporate specific or one of the best in class franchisees. That's generally how we always do our projects.
Okay, great. I appreciate the answer to that question, Mr. Marini.
I have a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
So, I believe the signage is going to be separate, right? On this, did you say?
Yes, that would be by separate application.
So, I'm just wondering, Casson, if you're going to apply, I wonder just tentatively what you're planning. Are you going to look for like a pole sign or something along the freeway, or what's the general?
So I'm sorry to cut you off, Commissioner Thomas. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking what you intend or you would like, you're going to request on the signage, because it's freeway close, you're going to go for some kind of, billboard height level sign. I'm not sure. What are we thinking, Cheryl, there?
So Cheryl, do you want me to answer, or?
Sure, I don't know what the applicant proposes, but certainly anything that they propose would need to be consistent with the development code. So maybe if you want to give an overview of what you're proposing, but ultimately that would be subject to separate review.
Yeah, so Commissioner Thomas, interesting question in that was the one of the first meetings that I attended because it dealt with the sign ordinance. So my client we're very aware of the sign ordinance and have found a way to design the project that works for them within the requirements of the sign ordinance. So, staff has made it clear that a pole sign is not permissible in your sign ordinance. So we will not be proposing that.
Just out of curiosity, Casson, what is your projected opening date?
That question would be best answered either by Eugene or Ken.
Yeah, Eugene, just
I'm not
just a ballpark, not just a couple of years or 1 year.
It would be within the next 12 months. We would be looking at. We'd go directly to construction drawings and getting that approval. So we would first probably be the fuel station with the car wash, and that would probably be in the next, call it 9 months. Hopefully operational within the next 12.
So you're moving good. So do you have any electric car facilities you're putting in too?
Yeah, per California. Well, we have to have it plumbed for that. We are actually, our tenant is going to be Shell on the site, and they are very much on the forefront of the alternative fuel push. So they view these more as energy or fuel sites rather than just a gas station. And they have plans to kind of increase that EV capacity and push.
Oh, great. Thanks, Eugene.
No more questions. Casson, you did mention it earlier, but can we get for the record, you do confirm that you agree to the conditions of approval?
We do concur and agree to all the conditions of approval.
Great, thank you for that. Madam Clerk, have any public comments come in during this time?
No other public comments.
Thank you. At which point we will close the public hearing at 6:58 p.m. Commissioners, comments?
Great project. It's perfect.
I think
I do have a comment. It's just, if you drive all along McCall Boulevard from Menifee to 215, what the trend seems to be is all these convenience stations and gas stations and car washes and these convenience stores and fast food that are popping up. Driving that area within a 2-mile radius, this will be the 6th in that area for a gas station. The first one you hit, we have the new project going on Sherman. That's going to be an Arco. If you come down a little bit further, there's a Bradley. There is a Chevron right across the street from this project. There's going to be, or is, the Valero gas station, along with the Wendy's and the Motel 6. Going over the 215, like I said, you've got at Bradley, you have the Chevron with the car wash, and then just 1/10 of a mile from there, we got another 76 station with car wash and fast food. So my concern just is this the development in this corridor for economic seems to be that's all it's going to be. I haven't seen any other development in that area, and so I guess the question is, I understand the zoning for this, but there doesn't seem to be a variety of development in this area outside of that. I think that's the comment that I'm just looking at. So. It seems to be, to me, a trend in that area, and that's also, when I go down 74, it seems like that same type of trend is popping up, where you see all these gas stations on every corner and all, and so I understand the zoning for that, but it seems like is there a fire sale now to get gas stations and fast food and all in this area?
I can maybe give you a little hope on that item in that I've lived here 20 plus years, and it seems like development kind of stalled at McCall, and it was just kind of a desert up there, as far as commercial development. We now have the motorhome camper store that's farther up the road.
RV.
Yeah, and with this going in, in fact, that location used to be an old dilapidated buildings. There was druggies living in there. There was a lot of bad stuff going on there. I'm happy to see this be developed. And what's nice is I think this is going to start, we're going to start pushing development north of McCall, and you'll see some more higher end building going that way. So that's one reason I'm grateful to see. I'm glad they're building this. It's going to, there has been a problem in that corner, in that area with homelessness and other types of bad environment there, and this is going to kind of bring up the level of it. So I'm glad to see it there. And I think the reason that the gas station's there is it's just simply a point of egress and ingress there off the freeway. But I think you'll see more development north of that.
Oh yeah, it's a good location for it. It's a perfect location because you get on and off the highway. You see that, and you see all the storages that are popping up, and there's even another car wash in those areas. And then as you move back toward Menifee, the commission approved a plan for the McCall, and that's going to have a 7-Eleven and a storage area, and hopefully some other retail in there too. So just looking to get some variety more in this area. So.
Just to give you some history, Tommy's Car Wash, who was mentioned earlier tonight, who's adjacent to the Montessori, the proposed Montessori school, they came in with the application for a car wash, and one of the other commissioners said, "Do we really need 2 car washes across? There's a car wash across the street," and they both. It didn't hurt the business at all of the full serve car wash. So I don't know how we can tell them. We know what we see and want to see, but how do you tell an applicant, oh, well, we don't want your business here, after they've gone through all the studies that they'll be profitable? So just wanted to tell you that. It's right across the street.
Cheryl, did you have something to contribute to this?
I did. If I could just add, I like to share, really the timing of development and that evolution that occurs, right? These types of uses that are auto-centric rely on the vehicle trips on the existing roadway corridors, right? And so those tend to, because those trips already exists, their customer base exists now. Those larger commercial centers that are more neighborhood serving or regional serving, those rely on rooftops to have their consumer base exist here, living here. And so typically you'll see this type of development come first, and then as we develop more rooftops in that area, particularly that east side of the McCall corridor, we would anticipate to see those larger commercial centers. The project site across the street from the subject site is a large commercially designated piece of property, just in terms of the timing and the evolution of development pattern.
Chair Diedrich,
Yes, Casson.
if I could add a comment, one thing to be aware of is that fuel station, convenience store, car washes are 9 of the top 25 revenue producers in the city, as identified on, if I recall, the last budget cycle. So, it's the number one business type allocation for revenue for the city. And, with Legato going in just to the north, off the top of my head, I don't remember how many dwelling units that is, but, this is a prime location to serve those dwelling units. And while I understand the concern for, perceived oversaturation, these are revenue generators for the city. So, like I said in my opening statement, it meets a lot of general plan and economic development goals.
Thank you, Casson.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, can I please get a motion and a second to adopt a resolution approving plot plan number PLN 20-0003?
That motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. And now can we get a motion and a second to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number PLN 20-0002?
That motion also passes 5-0.
Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion and a second to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number PLN 20-0004?
Last motion also passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Good projects.
Yes, welcome aboard, new commissioners, new projects to actually review.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Casson. Item number 10, no discussion items tonight.
None.
Finally, moving on to one of the most exciting sections. Item number 11, Community Development Director comments. Do you have any comments tonight, Cheryl?
Very exciting comments tonight. I want to remind the commission that tomorrow the Cal Cities or League of California Cities Planning Commissioners Academy starts. So tomorrow and Friday, and then I believe the following week, same type of schedule. Also want to remind the commission and let the public know that the city's housing element update process continues, and with that we launched on the city website an interactive mapping tool in which the candidate sites for the housing element and any zone change properties has been designated, and the public is encouraged and welcome to use that tool to provide us feedback during our COVID environment. We're looking for alternative mechanisms for public engagement. This is another tool we've developed So folks can go on mobile device or desktop device and get into that map and leave us comments on the proposed sites, or if they feel there are other sites, please add those notes to the map. That'll be up for the next month or so. And then we'll gather all that information and do a follow-up community workshop again before preparing a draft housing element that will come before the Planning Commission and Council later this summer. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. Item number 12. Do any of the fellow commissioners have anything to report out of committee activities?
I know I was able to attend at least my first MCAC CD BD VG meeting where we discussed the applications and the scoring process. I thought that was very informative for the community block grants. Secondly, I will be attending the Commissioners Academy for those 4 days, tomorrow and Friday, and then next week, I think Wednesday and Thursday. And then looking forward to next week also, the second meeting of the MCAC and the CDBG meeting. We'll be meeting with the applicants and making those final recommendations for that block grant. That's all I have. And hopefully be able to attend my AB 1234 training and the 1661 harassment training also. Those are requirements.
Excellent. With the MCAC, you'll be voting next week, right? Do you know how many applicants you have? This
7.
7.
Yes.
So should be enough money to go all around for everybody then. Excellent. Jeff, anything?
Just piggybacking on what Commissioner White said, we'll be meeting on the 30th with all the applicants. I think they have a 5-minute time frame to present their cases, and we'll be voting on distribution of their money.
Excellent. Do you know offhand, were there any new applicants this year, or are they all returning customers?
I think they're all returning.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Item number 13, any future agenda item requests? No, hearing none. We will adjourn the meeting at 7:10 p.m. Thank you, everyone.